everybody. Welcome to day 21 of Vlogmas. I just got back from my walk, took a shower, made myself some breakfast, and now I'm in the sewing room. I wanted to show you the incredible progress I've made on my rainbow dress. It is turning out so well. Let me show you. Honestly, it's just turning out so great, better than I could have even imagined. Look at this insanely gorgeous corset. I am in love. I just did a quick and dirty zip insertion on it. Nothing is finished on the insides yet, so I need to kind of clean that up, but it's looking so good. Let's do a little try on and I will show you just how incredible the fit on this is. The fit on this is just so good. I don't know what to do with myself. Ignore the fact that I have not ironed this yet, but yeah, I just think the fit of the corset is insane. Just insane. It looks so good, don't you think? I'm floored, honestly, with my own skills. I can't believe I essentially self-drafted this corset. It looks amazing. So as for things that are left to do on it, the bones, I told you the weave of this fabric is quite loose weave. And even though the zip ties are not sharp at the end, they're poking out of the top a little bit and it's hurting. So I'm gonna unpick the seam, the waist seam right here, so I can just kind of pull them down a little bit. I'm debating on if I even want to wrap little fabric tips around the edge of each of the bones and then poke them back up through. That's like a consideration, but I think at the very least I can just unpick the waist seam where the bone is and then just kind of pull it down a little bit so it's not sitting quite so close to the edge of the top of the neckline. So it's only really happening right here and over here on this one. I'll trim the bones up to the waist seam and then either finish it with the serger or do like a bias binding on the inside. I need to finish the center back seam along the zipper and then I need to hem it. So I told you guys I wanted to make this like a midi length, so something like this with a really deep hem, like a 3-inch hem. I'll pin up the 3-inch hem and see if that's going to be short enough. I might have to trim it. And then I was also considering adding, why can I never remember the name, like the netting stuff, horsehair braid. I was thinking of adding horsehair braid to the bottom of the hem to give the skirt, like, so it stands away from my body even more, but it has such a flowy, dropping things. It has such a flowy capacity to it already and such a swish because it's a half circle skirt. There's quite a lot of volume in it already, so I'm not sure that it needs the horsehair braid, but yeah, we'll see. I might pin some in and see what I think of it. I just think it would be nice if it like stood away from my body a little bit more. We'll see. But yeah, isn't it incredible? I think it's turned out so well. It is very flattering on my body. It fits me perfectly. I could not ask for more. And wearing this on holiday or in the summertime, it's gonna be such a statement piece. I think I totally did the right thing in making this dress with it. I'm glad I waited for the right project to come along because I just needed to let it marinate, you know, and then I found the right inspo and here we are. It looks fantastic. So yay, I'm so excited. While I had the dress on, I went ahead and marked the boning channels where the zip tie was just poking through a little bit too much, because when the dress is not on, you actually can't see when it starts to do that. So it being on my body kind of pushes pressure in different areas of the dress and pushes the bones up. So I went ahead and marked each of the channels where it was poking up, and then I will follow that down to the waistline, unpick where that is so I can just kind of pull it down a little bit so it's not putting so much pressure on the zip tie up to the neckline. I think too, what I'll do, I don't know if you can, no, you can't see it. There's a candle over here. I lit a candle. The zip tie does have a pointy tip. It's not sharp, so I figured it wouldn't really do any damage to the fabric, but what I think I might also do while I'm taking these out is snip off the pointy end and then melt it a little bit to like blunt it even more where I've cut it. So I think that should help as well. Normally when I use plastic boning, I do melt the edges of the cut because those do get quite sharp, but I didn't do it with these zip ties because I didn't think it would actually poke through. So now I know. It's been a long time since I've used zip ties for boning. So I'm just gonna push it all the way to the end, and then when it hits the end, I'm gonna pull it back like maybe 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch-ish or so. So it's, again, not putting pressure on that neckline. I'll take the pin out, mark it on the bottom so that when I go back to sew it, I know which ones I need to go over again. Then I don't have to go over the whole corset again. I just got a package in the mail, so I thought I would share it with you because it's something that I think could be helpful for a lot of people if you're not doing it already. So since I've lived in New York City, I started using sleep masks. I don't know what inspired me to start using sleep masks really, but I did. And my quality of sleep got so much better. I'm somebody who has no trouble falling asleep, and noise doesn't really bother me. Like a raging party could be happening in my living room and I could still go to sleep. It's not the noise. But what does wake me up is light. Like as soon as it starts getting light outside, my body has a really strong natural circadian rhythm, especially since I started doing my daily walks in the morning, which is really good for you. But I don't really want to wake up, and I don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. Like that's just, I pretty much get up at 7 every day, or at least that's when I want to get up every day. But sleep masks are really, really great for if you have trouble staying asleep. Try a sleep mask. Like if you're like me and noise is not that troublesome for you, but you wake up a lot in the middle of the night, I so recommend a sleep mask. I'll leave the one that I get linked below. I really like this one because it has little divots right here, so you can actually open your eyes with the sleep mask on your face and it's not like touching your eyeballs. So I really, really like this sleep mask. I'll leave it linked below. I've got Andrew hooked on them as well. Like ever since we started dating, he started wearing, because I buy them like, I don't know, once every 6 months or so, because they start, like the elastic starts wearing out on them. And I don't make them myself, again, because I like the eye holes on them. And if I make them myself, then it's like touching my eyes and I don't like that aspect of it. You have to do what works for you. But I really like the sleep mask, and Andrew also really likes them. We sleep with them every single night. Like our quality of sleep is so much better. So if you're somebody who has a hard time staying asleep, or like me, you wake up with like the slightest bit of light coming into the room. Yes, we have blackout curtains and all that, but try a sleep mask. They will be a game changer. One thing I forgot to do was hang up this dress last night. So I finished all of the inside finishings except for the waistline. I'm still apprehensive about cutting those bones just yet, but I finished like attaching the zip nicely. I finished the center back seam nicely. I haven't hemmed yet because I should have let this dress hang overnight because it's a circle skirt. It's cut on the bias, so these drop quite a bit. And also when I cut them, for whatever reason, when I measure it out, you can see it always ends up longer on the sides than it is in the center. So I need to trim that straight before I can hem it. But I also want to hang it for a little bit to let the hem drop before I do that. So I'm hoping, because I really wanted to finish this today, so what I'm hoping is I'm gonna hang it right now and then maybe I'll hem it like later this evening so it has like the full day to drop. Usually I try to let it sit at least overnight, but like 24 hours would be ideal. But I'm thinking if I let it sit for like 8 hours, a solid 8 hours, that will be okay. Fingers crossed. So I'm gonna let the hem drop, hang it, but it's looking so good. You guys, it's so beautiful. I love it. I think it's looking so amazing. While my hem is dropping, I'm gonna go ahead and do a cleanup of my sewing room. If you're new here, I do this between every single project without fail. So I have this process where I let myself make as much mess as I want. I throw stuff on the floor, I clip threads, they're everywhere. I take everything out and leave it out. But then once the project is finished, then I clean up every single thing. Even if I'm about to start a new project right away and I'm gonna cut something out, I put every single thing back where it belongs. It just helps manage the mess from cluttering up. It's a process that really works for me. So I'm going to pick up everything, put everything away, make my sewing room fresh and clean again from all the mess. I am in the kitchen right now. Andrew is not home yet. It's still really early. It's like 4:20. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on making the soup because it takes about 45 minutes and I'm kind of hungry right now, so I just kind of want it to be ready, and of course it can like marinate in the flavors, so by the time that we're ready to cook dinner, or eat dinner I should say, later, then it will be ready to go. Resorting to violence before their feeding time. They're all angsty and they all just fight with each other. This is what we call hangry, Jafar. Right now I have two dress forms. I have this Dritz one that I got on Amazon, and I have that collapsible shoulder, more professional one that I got on Craigslist for a steal, actually. One of the perks of living in a city that has a lot of fashion students. But the one I actually get the most use out of is the Dritz one because of that right there, the hem attachment. It's so amazing for trimming hems straight. It's amazing for pinning up a hem, especially on like really big skirts. If I want to make a skirt on a dress a lot shorter, or on a skirt, if I want to make it a lot shorter, like I'm taking it from a maxi to a mini, which sometimes I do if I feel like I'm not wearing a dress enough and I want to get more wear out of it, usually turning it into a mini hem length makes me wear it more. So if I ever want to do that, the hem attachment is great for that. So long story short, I thought this one was going to replace this one, but turns out I still use this one the most. So right now, my rainbow dress, it's been hanging overnight and all day yesterday. I'm going to pin a 3-inch hem on it first and try it on and see if I like that. And then if I do, then I will trim it properly first and then do a 3-inch hem. So I'm kind of just doing a quick and dirty 3-inch pinning on it first to make sure it's the length that I like. And then once I decide if I like that or not, then I'll put it on this dress form and trim the hem straight and hem it. Tip that I learned, I could just put this on my desk and I can do this standing instead of having to like crouch on the floor and sit on the floor to do it. I could just put it on my desk and sit in my chair or stand while I do a hem. It was a game changer. I can't believe it took me as long as it did to figure that out. I've started in the middle here and then using the hem attachment, so I clamp it in and then I stick the pin through this little slot right here, and I just keep working around the edge, and you can see what a difference. So at the shortest point here to the sides, it got really long, both during the cutting process and with the hem drop. So now I've put in all these pins, and I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and eyeball cut it from pin to pin all the way around, and that will be close enough that you won't be able to tell when it's on. And then once I trim it up, that's when I'll start the hemming process. I'll probably do, like I said, a 2.5 inch to a 2 3/4 inch hem on it with a 1/2 inch turn on the inside to make it look nicely finished. And then, yeah, then the hem will be done. Well, are you gonna tell everybody about the quilts that we're thinking about? There's a radiator underneath this table, so I find him on it all the time. It's his cozy spot. All right, let's talk quilt patterns. At first I felt like I had saved so many that I didn't even know how I was going to go through all of them with you and remember all of their names, but as I was going through the patterns, it turns out there really are a small handful that stand out enough to me to use them for a quilt for our bed. So there's only 4 that I have here, and 2 of them I've actually already ruled out from these 4, but I still thought it would be fun and interesting to talk to you about them and to show them to you, so I'm going to show all 4 of those. So the first one is Starry Gems by Sarah_Made on Instagram. I love this pattern. I think it's really beautiful. What I'm not super keen on is the sample. It's not very me, shall we say. It's really high contrast. It's a really fun, like, youthful quilt in terms of like the colors that they use in it, but for my bed it's a little bit loud. So I do really like the pattern, but I think if I were to use it, I would definitely go for a more muted color palette. I think I will say, and this applies to this one and the next one that I'm going to talk about, something about, I love stars in quilts, but something about them sometimes kind of reads like barbs, like barbed wiry to me. They just seem, because of the points in them, kind of spiky and like aggressive. I don't know how to like describe that. I still think they're beautiful, and I've still saved a ton of quilts with star patterns in them. I like stars, but something about it for my bed, which is why I've ruled out this one and the next one, even though I find the quilt extremely beautiful, it's just not giving me like the soothing, meditative vibe that I want for our bed. So I love the pattern. I feel like I'm complaining a lot about it. I'm not. Like, it's made it to my top 4 patterns. For a long time, I really thought that this would be the one, the Starry Gems pattern. But the more I look at it, the more I feel like it's just not, it's not the one. But I wanted to share it with you anyway. The next one, and in that same vein, I saw it and fell in love with it immediately, is the Gratitude Quilt by A Crafty Fox on Instagram. Again, like a super beautiful quilt, and unlike Starry Gems, the sample has been made in a really beautiful soft palette. She's done like a green and creams one, as well as like a crimson and creams palette. And because she uses a variety of crimsons and greens and a variety of creams and taupes, it's really kind of like mellowed out the star a little bit. It's not so high contrast. The design is different from Starry Gems, and I really, really liked it. But I think what attracts me most to it is just the variety of fabrics that she's used in the samples. So I really love this quilt pattern, but again, the star pattern is just kind of led me to nix it as our bedroom quilt. Both, I keep looking at my list because I wrote the names down because I'm not super familiar with the names, I just know what they look like. But both Gratitude and Starry Gems are beautiful quilts, and I would love to make them at some point. It's just the stars I think are not what I want for my bed. Okay, so now for the remaining 2 on the list, and the ones that I feel have the most potential. I am leaning more toward one of them. We'll get to that one in a second, but the first one is a classic 9-patch quilt. I think that it's a super basic quilt pattern. It's super easy to make, but I just think that there's just a really comforting and traditional heritage quality to it, but the colors that you pick can modernize it a little bit. And I tend to be more drawn toward the 9-patch quilts that have the 9-patch square and then a blank square, so it's not all 9-patch for the whole thing. So it'd be the 9-patch and then 1 bigger square, 9-patch, 1 bigger square. I have several pictures that hopefully you're looking at right now to get a sense of that. But there's just something about the 9-patch that I really like. Similarly, I also do like a classic Irish chain, but again, because it's got these like really strong lines in it, it's just not as like comforting to me. There's something about just the classic 9-patch that really speaks to me. So that's like a top contender, along with the next one, which I think is my top favorite and probably the one I'm gonna go with, but still would love to hear your thoughts. And that is the Tiny Tile by Pearl Soho. Something about this one just really makes me light up inside. It's such a soothing quilt. Every single one that I've seen on Instagram, it's just like, it's like a mosaic. It's like a tile floor. I mean, it's called Tiny Tile, but if you know anything about me, or if you've been following my Instagram for a long time, you might know that I used to post interesting tile floors, especially hexagon tile floors. I'm not gonna get into English paper piecing for this quilt, that's for sure, but I love a hexagonal quilt design. But I love tile floors, and something about this just feels very mosaic-like. I feel like it's really beautiful, almost like little jewels all over the quilt. And I love how the different combinations of colors can like add these little pops and jewels of color amongst like a cream background. I really like the cream background ones. But yeah, something about tiny tiles really appeals to me as our bedroom quilt. So I'm curious what you guys think. Do you find it surprising? I mean, all of these quilts are really not difficult, I would say. They're in terms, like the one that's on my bed now, oh my gosh, that was like 2-inch squares sewn on the bias. It was a hefty project, let's just say. So all of these quilts are actually rather simple in comparison. In terms of construction and techniques. Like there's not a lot of angle sewing. I mean, I guess with the stars there's more for the first two, but yeah, like especially for the classic 9-patch and tiny tile, there's really not that much intricate sewing going on, especially the classic 9-patch. That one could be done in a couple weekends even, I feel. So I'm curious what you guys think about these. The color palette really will be everything, and I feel like that's where I really shine with my projects. As a designer, I'm quite good at pairing colors together and creating combinations that are pleasing. At least I think I am. So I feel like that's one of my strengths as a maker, is like my color combinations. So I'm really looking forward to picking them out, whether that's for the classic 9-patch or for the tiny tile. Classic 9-patch will give me more opportunity to mix and match more fabrics, whereas I feel like tiny tile, I probably need to limit my color palette a little bit to get the desired effect that I'm after. But I really have something about tiny tile. It really appeals to me. My friend Emily actually just finished one for her boyfriend, and it turned out great. She used a dark brown as the background. It's a very like traditionally masculine color palette. And yeah, I loved it. So it's funny that she made it because I've had that one on my list for a while too. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know between classic 9-patch and tiny tile, which one you like the best. I'd be interested to hear. And yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait to go to Joann to shop for fabric for this. Somebody in the comments on one of my last videos said that it's interesting that I'm like so excited to go to Joann's, whereas they can't wait to go to the, they would rather go to the garment district in New York City. And I just have to say, like, to clear this up, yes, like 90% of the time I agree with you, but the garment district is apparel fabrics mostly. There's not really any quilt shops left. Like even Gotham Quilts just closed their brick and mortar store and they're all online now. So there's not that many quilt shops left in New York City or places to get quilting cotton. So that's why I'm really excited to go do some damage at Joann, because they have a lot of quilting fabrics that I can get. So yes, when I go to visit my fam in Tennessee in January, I will definitely be hitting up Joann while I'm there to shop for either classic 9-patch or tiny tile. So let me know what you guys think. morning, everyone. It is the next day, so you'll be seeing all of today's shenanigans in the next video, but I forgot to film an outro yesterday, so I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next and last episode of Vlogmas. All right, bye.